Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. His name is Todd Medema. Mr. Todd, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much, Mr. Todd. And also, thanks so much for the time and the opportunity, Mr. Todd. Firstly, you are an author. You also studied technology and you're into entrepreneurship and design. Can you please, Mr. Todd, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mr. Todd?
Yeah, so I studied technology, entrepreneurship, and design, really looking at the world from this lens of how can we build impactful technology that has a strong business model that is usable by humans. So I went from there to found a couple of startups, work in self-driving cars, and then ultimately discovered the importance of the environment, climate change, and sustainability. And so I did a very large career shift from self-driving into renewable energy and grid scale battery storage. And through all of that, have continued to seek ways to have a positive impact on the environment, which is how I came about writing this book, a solar punk climate fiction heist.
Thank you so much. And that is what we need today. The climate is very important. Nature is powerful on its own, and we need to try our best to look for ways we can protect it for our next generation so they will enjoy it better. And that is why I would like to drive to your trader book, which is how to solve a hurricane. Can you please, Mr. Todd, discuss more on the book? And do you plan to write more books in the coming future, Mr. Todd?
Yeah, so How to Surf a Hurricane is what I like to call a hopeful climate heist. It is a heist story like Ocean's 11, but with a kind of an undertone of hope and adaptation about the climate. So, in the midst of this heart-pounding thriller, the characters are confronting with and adapting to changes in the climate. And yes, I do plan on writing more books in the future.
Definitely. I thank you for that because those climate issues are things that we need to drive to. And that is why I would like to drive to thrillers, which often looks entertaining most of the time, but they can also highlight real world issue. What really inspired you to connect the adrenaline of the haste with the urgency of sustainable energy, Mr. Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a great direct analogy between the intensity of a heist and the intensity required for climate. But the original idea occurred to me when a climate friend of mine shared this kind of storytelling toolkit for the climate. And they were like, hey, look, right now there are three archetypal stories about the climate. Either some tech billionaire genius like Iron Man or someone is going to save us all, or the kids and the future generation is going to save us all, or the future is going to be this dystopia hellscape that we deserve because we disrespected the environment. And there's there's a lot of stories like that, but like they've kind of all run their course. Like we to bring new people into the environmental movement, we need new types of stories.
Mm.
And I, as a big fan of heists, was like, yeah, I've never read a climate heist before. Like, we should have one.
And that is how it actually came about. And that is the beauty. When we check about the ice that you said and the urgency of sustainable energy, those are things that we need to drive to and also try our best to build upon. And that is why I would like to get to the point of people believing because people feel like risking everything for a cause might be a issue at times. When risking everything just to get something might be a very, very big risk on its own. So your protagonist, that is Mono, isn't a trained criminal mastermind. He's just determined and he did what he know he could do. What do you think the readers can also learn from his perspective and willingness to risk every single thing for a cause, Mr. Todd?
Yeah, so Moro, he's just a an engineer who decides to embark on this heist with, no previous criminal background. And to me, it's about this idea of not waiting until you're 100% ready. I think especially in the modern world where so many fields require all sorts of degrees and certifications, we get this idea of like, oh, the expert, you have to be an expert to do it. You know, you have to have a PhD to do this or that. And sometimes that's true. You know, I kind of want a PhD to forecast my weather. But a lot of things in life, it's like you can start acting before you're 100% ready, and then you learn on the job. And so yeah, just don't be afraid. Just if there's something that you really want to do, just start doing it.
Thank you so much. Because in the life we find ourselves today, people would love to know everything about it, and that is what we need to understand. We have to try our best to know the little we know we can do, and by the way, those sense of understanding will develop. Because whether we like it or not, there'll be setback, there'll be failures, and sometimes we'll be scared to do some things as well. But with the little that we have, if we could begin something as Monas did, we can be in a position whereby we continue to learn, we continue to have the setback and failure, and we develop from there. We don't need to have all those knowledge before we actually take a shot on what we want to do in life. And that is very beautiful. Thank you so much
Exactly.
for the insight, Mr. Todd. And also, I would like to dive into people facing their own storms because people feel like if I'm having any issue in life, I think I should have it with people and stuff like that. And your story also drive to the point of Mono having this uncertainty play of huge journey in his role. What do you think listener can also take away about facing their own storms, whether professional or personal or environmental, Mr. Todd?
Yeah. So when taking a big risk in life, doing something like changing careers or doing a heist, it's very natural to feel that fear, that uncertainty, that stress inside of you. Uh, and something that really helped me through that process personally was realizing that there's different kinds of fear and stress. There's the stress of excitement and growth, and then there's the stress of like this is dangerous and I shouldn't do it. And being able to tell the two apart can really help you move forward with confidence. Because doing anything worthwhile in life is stressful, is scary. But if you know it's a good thing, if you're also excited about it, then that stress is actually helpful. It's activating your body, your mind, helping you be sharp and aware and focused. And so that's not something to shy away from. That's something to be like, yes, my body is almost encouraging me to do it, even if it feels stressful and scary.
And that is the main reason we have to do what we love. We have to do what we are comfortable with. If we can be in a position whereby we do what we love and we do what we are 100% comfortable with, no matter what comes by our way, or no matter how we want to even start, we will always be ready to face every single one of it because it comes from the heart and it comes from underneath. So the love is very important for whatever we want to embark on in life. And also, I would like to drive to the point of storytelling, which can make big issues feels relatable. How do you think thrillers like yours can also raise awareness about global challenges in a way that facts alone cannot, Mr. Todd?
Yeah, I love this question. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, like these three archetypes
Yeah.
of climate storytelling. But the other piece that inspired me to write How to Surf a Hurricane was learning that humans are storytelling creatures. We naturally respond to stories much, much better than statistics. And this is backed by a lot of research. And so, you look at a lot of the environmental movement today and you're like, wow, we have like a statistics problem. It's like degrees Celsius of warming and gigatons of CO2. And like we have all of the numbers, we have all the data, but like it's so hard to understand at a human scale. And so I think that is where storytelling in all of its forms is so, so critical to help people understand and care and get excited about protecting the environment and taking action.
Yes, because if we do not do that, who else will do it? We have to try our best to protect our environment, take care of it, care for it, because these are natures. Because let us just imagine if there's a very serious flood going on around. It kills a lot of people, it devastates a lot of lives and people's life as well. So we have to know how to care for our surrounding, care for nature, and show its love and care, because one thing about nature is it is divine. It is something we don't know how it's been made of, and it's really we really connect with it in a very, very powerful way. So we should learn to try our best to care for things like that. And also, Mr. Todd, the hurricane itself also became almost like a character in its own. What lessons do you think listeners can also draw from the nature's raw power in relation to our human choices, Mr. Todd?
That's funny. I never really thought of the hurricane as a character of itself, but I guess we name hurricanes. So that's a funny story idea. I like it. Uh, Hurricane as a character. Um, but I think this is actually an important lesson from the book of how powerful nature is. Uh, it's very easy to look at nature, to walk through nature, and just be completely overwhelmed. Like, here's a tree that's 1,000 years old. It's seen civilizations be birthed and die, and like, what can I as a human do against that? And then at the same time, we're confronted with the opposite extreme, which is human-driven climate change and mass extinction and plastic pollution and these things where it's like, wow, humans are actually like kind of messing it up. But there's this third lens, which is humans as co-stewards with nature, which is, sure, we always think about the human impact on nature as bad, climate change and holes in the ozone and all this. But what if we look at it more of like a Native American perspective of we work together with nature to strengthen and rebuild and make nature more resilient. And we see stories like this where people are going out helping endangered species recover, helping restore wetlands and ecosystems. And it's like, yes, let's do more of that.
We need to continue to do more of that. Like, if we can try to save these natures, because even we do know that there are a lot of animals, there are a lot of crops by during those historic time that are no more existing in our time today. There was also even a discovery I was even watching one time like that that says the number of species inside the water are really declining. And that shows the essence of the huge way we are really not caring for nature. And it is not going to be good on us. And it is not going to even be good, most especially for our next generation, because they will be the one to suffer for this. So these are things we need to work on. We have to try our best to revive those things, plant trees, plant things, and also take care of the ones we see in the sea. Those are things that would bring the beauty of the world we find around us, and we need to care for those. And also, I would like to also dive to your book also, and the message you think people could carry with them. What do you think the message you think people could carry with them when it comes to courage, risks, and responsibility for the planet, Mr. Todd?
Yeah, I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but this idea that courage and risk almost requires fear. And there's a quote in the book that the word courage comes from the French word cœur or heart, and so to have courage, you must first feel afraid. And uh, in some ways, the way I live my life personally now is almost follow that fear, go towards the fear rather than away from it. Um, and yeah, and pushing yourself to do what you know is right, even if it's scary, is it's uncomfortable. It's not pleasant, but it's how you live a life that I think you at the end of the day feel worthwhile. How you look back on your deathbed. That's a question I ask myself a lot. Is like, if I'm on my deathbed, hopefully, 60, 70, 80 years old,
Mm.
how do I look back on my life and be like, I'm proud of what I did, and that takes courage, that takes fear. So
Completely agree with you. We all have the same fear and also responsibility as well. The planet we are living in is very beautiful. If we really care for it, is really going to drive us and give us good results. And that is why the caring that we have for it was the reason why, one of the main reasons why we are having this technology and development we have around us. And that is why we need to continue to care for what we have around us. And I love what you said. In our old age, how are we going to see ourselves? Because whether we like it or not, we're all going to leave this world. And when we leave this world and people say, how can I even remember Mr. Todd? Or how can I remember Mr. Tammy? It should be something very enlightening, something very beautiful, something that connects with nature, with love, and with kindness, with the kind of humanity that we have around us. If we could see all that, then it's beautiful. And that is the beauty of life. Sometimes, most of the time, it's not about everything that we have, it's not about everything that is around us. Sometimes it's might be the little things that we have, little things we do around us. Those are things people will admire when we leave this world. And those are things we have to be thinking about as well.
Yeah,
Also, okay.
and I think, in Western culture, sometimes this gets mixed up where people say, like you have to make it into the history books to matter. Like, your goal is like be the next Einstein or Elon Musk or whatever. And it's like, I think that's really the wrong perspective. Like only a few people per generation get in a history book. And, if your goal in life is to become like the next famous actor, you're probably going to fail, just being realistic. But there's still so many ways that you can have a positive impact that, it doesn't have to be in the history books. You can just know in your heart that you did the right thing. And that's enough. And the other thing too is, the book is a lot about the environment, but it doesn't just have to be about the environment. And one of the reasons that I included such a diverse cast of characters is throughout this journey of writing the book, my own personal understanding grew from, oh, it's just about the environment to environmental justice also means social justice. We can't save the environment without also helping and saving each other. And
Yeah.
we have to, and for any solution to work, we have to do it together. So don't feel like the only way for you to live a fulfilling life is to, save pandas or a wetland or something. Like it is just as important and impactful to help the people around you because right now in the world we live in, so many people are under this constant survival threat that they don't really have a choice. They can't take a step back and be like, what's better for the planet? They're just like, how do I feed myself and my family? And so if you can go and help those people, give them the social rights, give them the economic stability, I strongly believe that like if everyone has the a sense of stability and well-being in their life, they will have the energy and positivity to go and help others. So, even if your impact is in social instead of environmental, like it's all connected, it all helps.
And that is absolutely true. We all, and that is the beauty. We all have what we are, one or two things that we're actually passing through on earth. And if we can try our best as humans, because we might be talking about climate, we'll be talking about how we could help people around us. And we have to definitely know that there are a lot of people who are really struggling on earth. Because even I myself, I do know, even my continent, I do know how tough it is over here. And that is how we have to definitely up ourselves. We have to show the kind of kindness, love. Even how are you doing to some people mean a lot to them. And that is the beauty of the world. We have to learn to help each other, rise each other up. We do know that the world that we are now feels pressured. I have to be honest, Mr. Todd is isolated and is pressured, and people are really more selfish in our time today. And that is why we need to correct ourselves because we might not be the one who suffered this. It might be the next generation who suffered this thing. And we have to show the sense of kindness, love, and care. And I love what you said in the beginning of the conversation. People want to be in the history book, people want to be in the history book. And that is not the case most of the time. Even the ones that are in the history book, most of them did not even imagine that they will be in the history book. They just said, let me just see how I can do this. I just want the world to be in a better place. We just need to be kind, do the right thing, and see what goes in the future. Some people they died in a very early age and they have a very beautiful story. People are still talking about it today. And likewise, some people died at an old age and nobody knows about them. This life is not really in a balanced status place. We just have to be kind, show love, help one another, If we meet people who are struggling, we show the sense of love. Even if we don't have, we show them the sense of kindness. And our climate is very, very important. This climate that we're living in, this surrounding, these trees, this water, these fishes, these lions, everything are very necessary in our surrounding. We need them to help ourselves and our life as well. I want to beautifully from the bottom of my heart thank you for the beautiful insight and also the book. A trader books most of the time has a lot of characters and stuff like that, and it's drive through one thing: climate, how we can make it better, how a person tried his best despite the risks, the triumphs, the ups and downs, made it something more imagined and more okay for people to live by. And that is so beautiful of you. And we definitely hope you release more books like that that impact the society, help people. And that is what people are going to say. That is what Mr. Todd actually did in his early age. And that is why we really, really love and admire what he do. And also, there is a question I normally ask during the end of the show, Mr. Todd. From our forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, Mr. Todd?
So when I was traveling in through Canada and Alaska, I spent some time with my partner Marion, who helped inspire the book, talking with First Nations people. And one of the things that they had that really struck me was this idea of caring about the seven generations past and the seven generations future. And I think, today with Wall Street and quarterly profits, we're so stuck in this day-to-day, month and quarterly mindset that it's really quite humbling to take a step back and be like, yes, how can we build things so that seven generations from now this will still work? Uh, And you look at things like groundwater and how we're pumping out too much groundwater. It's like that's not sustainable. There's no way this is going to work for another seven generations. So how can we pause and take a step back and be like, yeah, how do we think about these things in a longer time scale? So I guess I don't really get into that particular idea in the book, but it's really stuck with me. So
Checking on our future generations, our next generation is something that we definitely need to work on, because that is what our ancestral did in our time. Because during our ancestral time, they did something very beautiful. They show the kindness, they have time to show themselves the community, and that is what really helped them to gather it together and build something that was very productive in our time today. And that is why we also have to look at our next generation, things that will happen in the future time, how we can develop it, how we can make it more better, how we can see, as you said earlier, how can we sustain the water that is around us? How can we try our best to make it something that our future generation will continue to enjoy? These are things that we need to check on, because if we can do this well, our future generation too will also try their best to make that work for other next generation that are coming too. Because every single good thing that we're having on earth now doesn't last a long time. When it gets to a time, there is a phase, everything changes. Everything changes. During the 19s, 18s, there wasn't technology. Even I will able to even agree with you that none of them even believe that there'll be something like this in our time today. And there is technology. There's now we are talking from a very, very huge distance. And that is the beauty of what we have today. We have to plan for our future and also help the generation that we have coming in the next time. I also want to use this opportunity, Mr. Todd, to thank you for the time and the opportunity. We do hope that more things like this and more books like this comes out so that it will help us sustain our surrounding, helps us to be more better, and also help us to live a better life. Thank you so much, Mr. Todd.
thank you so much. And for any listeners who are interested in the book, it's called How to Surf a Hurricane, and it's available at howtosurfahurricane.com. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Mr. Todd. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.